Good afternoon, sir and ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Let us start, Shita.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to everyone. We, the Department of Economics of Sarojini Naidu College for Women, is on the verge to start our one-day international webinar on the topic Economics as a Career Way Forward. Our distinguished speakers will enrich us on this topic. This webinar starts with the introductory speech, which will be given by a senior-most faculty, Professor Joyita Banerjee, followed by the welcome address, which will be given by our principal, Dr. Urmila Ukil, and then our governing body president will give a keynote address. Professor Anjan Sinha, our governing body president, will give a keynote address, and that will be followed by the speech of our IQSC coordinator, Professor Sudeshna Chatterjee. So now we start our webinar. Our webinar starts with introductory speech by Professor Joyita Banerjee. So Joyita Di, you start your speech. I think Joyita Di, you are not audible.
Microphones are off.
Sorry.
Now it is on.
Good afternoon, all. Today we are here, as the topic of the webinar proclaims, to explore different opportunities that would reach one's doorstep if he or she takes economics as career. At the entry point of college, many students wonder what can be the best suitable subject that would help him build bright and interesting career. Economics is the evergreen subject which has high demand both at the national and international levels. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Students taking degrees in economics, you can take different professions that include economist, financial risk analyst, data analyst, financial planner, economic researcher, financial consultant, investment analyst, actuarist, public sector service provider, and so on. I'm just briefing the nature of the work in each case. As a professional economist, you will be involved in researching and analyzing economic data, issues, and trends. You have to produce economic forecasts and reports to present to clients, when clients can be individuals, companies, financial organizations, and public bodies. You have to advise on policy and/or business strategy accordingly. Possible employers include local and national governments, public and private banks, insurance companies, large multinational companies, financial consultancies, accountancy firms, and local authorities. A sound awareness of current affairs and economic contexts are also essential in these roles. Again, banking careers are very popular with economic graduates, offering scope for high earnings. With a focus on keeping the financial requirements of clients and business on track, banking careers are largely concerned with advising and providing the required services. Regarding consultancy, economic graduates may find positions in different organizations where economic research is required. The role of an economic researcher requires in-depth knowledge of economic theories and models, thorough analytical and problem-solving skills, and mathematical ability. Again, economic graduates can involve themselves in economic planning also. In public sector, regarding public taxation, transport, commercial and waste services, several economic decisions are required, which are best made by knowledgeable economic graduates. In that case, area of employment would be different government institutions and public service bodies like Calcutta Corporations or West Bengal State Electricity Board, etc. Again, economic graduates can find interesting career in actuary business also. By evaluating financial risk and uncertainty, students as actuaries can provide reports and devise strategies on how to lessen these risks. It means investors would come to you to know about risk pattern and returns of different investment portfolios. You have to analyze and get the best suitable investment portfolio according to his requirements. So, there are ample scopes to build interesting and robust career with economics degree in pocket. Economics degree will definitely enhance your employability in many areas, regardless of the industry you work in. Most importantly, it is lucrative too and help you build a comfortable life in future. So students, pack up your bags, choose economics as career, study seriously, and you would find yourself at the apex. Now I end here. You would hear regarding career prospects from many knowledgeable, experienced stalwarts in economics presently. Now I would like to call our beloved Principal Madam, Dr. Urmila Ukil, to deliver welcome address. Dr. Urmila Ukil, Madam.
Thank you, Joyita. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Sarojini Naidu College for Women, I heartily welcome all of you to this one-day international level webinar on economics as a career way forward. I respectfully welcome our distinguished speakers today, Professor Anjan Kumar Chakraborty from the University of Calcutta, Professor Jyotish Prakash Basu from West Bengal State University, and Dr. Deepak Saraswat from the University of Connecticut, USA, and Meta. I want to express my gratitude to all the three of our guests for being with us today and for participating in our webinar. I thank the Department of Economics and all members of IQAC of Sarojini Naidu College for Women for organizing this webinar on such an important and crucial topic on careers in the field of economics. We must say economics is everywhere. It is not only a part of our everyday lives, but it is also the gateway to the future. Studying economics not only helps us to understand different markets, organizations, economies, etc., but also understand people and human behavior. A large part of economic theory is based on assumptions about how people behave rationally. But economics will also explain when those very assumptions are likely to fall. Studying economics will arm you with tools that help to predict human behavior in the field of real world. However, it is often a difficult subject matter for many of us, which requires a strong understanding of mathematics, statistics, and other subjects, and rigorous problem solving and analytical skills. But it is extremely worthwhile since economics is a backbone of any sector and you will be able to apply your knowledge across a variety of roles. It is a social science which is deeply integrated with technology, management, entrepreneurship, and governance, with applications in a large variety of fields such as education, environment, finance, data science, etc. While studying economics, students develop critical thinking and problem solving skills and also develop analytical skills, which are desired across careers in both academia and private sector. I hope that our students will gain a lot of insight and knowledge from our esteemed speakers today and will be inspired and encouraged to work harder onwards their goals and intentions to make their dreams come true. Again, I express my deep gratitude on behalf of the college to the respected speakers and thank all the participants of today's webinar for being with us today. Thank you all. Thank you once again. Namaskar.
Joyitari, you are not audible. Can you hear me?
Thank you, madam, for your encouraging speech. Now, the keynote address would be delivered by our respected President, Dr. Anjan Sinha. As he could not cope up with time, he has sent us his recorded speech, which is also valuable to us. President Dr. Anjan Sinha. Tamagno? Can we hear from him? Where is Tamagno?
And IQAC, Sarojini Naidu College for Women. I convey my regards to Dr. Urmila Ukil, Principal, and distinguished professors attending this seminar. I am thankful to the faculty members of Department of Economics and IQAC of Sarojini Naidu College for Women. It's a tinderbox world. In the poorer world, the young want opportunity, but the future prospects look bleak where they live. They know about the bright lights. They know that the world is awaiting them. They want it as they should. The subject of money has fascinated wise men from the time of Aristotle to the present day because it is so full of mystery and paradox. The piece of paper labeled 100 rupees or $1 or 100 euro or 1000 yen is little different as paper from a piece of the same size torn from a newspaper or magazine. Yet it will enable its bearer to command some measure of food, drink, clothing, and the remaining goods of life which other is fit only to light the fire. Where is the difference? Why should this particular piece of paper be accepted as in transaction for goods and services? The answer and the right one is that the people accept money as such because they know that others will. So money is a social convention, but a convention of unknown strength that people will abide by even under extreme provocation. Thus, the knowledge of production, consumption, and transfer of wealth have to be acquired in modern perspective of life. Evidence has accumulated that some advanced technologies of production and consumption damage and deplete the natural environment or risk the health and livelihood of present and future generations. Many citizens have questioned the value for themselves and their societies of conventionally measured economic progress. The gap in standards of living between the two worlds has widened throughout the past century, and recent setbacks have deepened the mood of frustration. The sources of energy on which industrial economics increasingly depend are no more finite than before. Now everyone is conscious of the limits. There have been an enormous shift in world distribution of wealth and power. Both unemployment and inflation continue to be regarded as serious problems. Popular and political pressure for wages and price control may become irresistible at times. Modern economic studies can only steer through the complications and strengthen our conceptual abilities. Thank you.
Choitadi, you are still not audible.
Mute করা আছে। We are happy to hear from our President, sir. Now I would request IQAC Coordinator Dr. Sudeshna Chatterjee to tell a few words. Dr. Sudeshna Chatterjee.
Respected Principal Ma'am, Professor Anjan Sinha, respected President of the Governing Body of Sarojini Naidu College for Women, our esteemed speakers, my colleagues, and all the participants of this webinar. First of all, on behalf of the IQAC, I welcome you all in this webinar, which is to show a future pathway of the students of economics in their way forward in their future life. And being a student of pure science, I know very little of this subject. However, it's a well-known fact that a good economist in power can take forward a country to become a superpower, whereas a bad economist in power can take the economy of any country crashing down. And I won't go into detail, but we are watching a very many examples of this case of this in our surrounding world. However, I feel that our students, the present and future students of the economics, Department of Economics, of our college and all other colleges and universities, they will not be a bad economist, and they will be true leaders. And there are so many prospects of this subject. You know, all of us know that in any case, whereas we in the morning we are reading the newspaper, and there are so many informations coming to us from the economists of this world, and so many renowned persons. They are giving us advice what to do in our daily life and what to do for the country as a whole. So I hope that our students, our present and also future students, will be the stalwarts so that they can take our country forward to a really bright future, not only for their personal life, but for all of us as a whole, as we are part and parcel of our country itself. With this, I thank the Department of Economics, all our colleagues for organizing this webinar. It's a really enlightening subject, and I am very happy to be a part of this webinar, and I'll wait with appreciation and hope to listen from the esteemed speakers who are stalwarts in this field. And I thank you all once again. Thank you.
I request all participants to mute yourself while our speakers deliver their lectures. So now we move on to our speakers. Our first speaker will be introduced by our faculty, Pritam Chatterjee. Yes, Pritam.
Thank you, Shedadi. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. At first, good afternoon to all of you. Now let me introduce our first speaker, Professor Anjan Kumar Chakraborty from University of Calcutta, Department of Economics. Professor Anjan Kumar Chakraborty joined the University of Calcutta in the Department of Economics from September 2000 onwards. Before that, he has worked at many other institutions since 1991. He did his graduations in economics from St. Xavier's College, MSc in economics from University of Calcutta. He was awarded his PhD in economics from University of California, Riverside. Presently, he is a professor in economics at University of Calcutta. He was also the member of the Undergraduate Board of Studies in Economics, Calcutta University from 2013 to 2017. His areas of research interest are Marxian economics, development economics, Indian economy. Professor Chakraborty has so many articles published so far in journals, books, edited volumes, etc. He has presented so many papers, keynote lectures, and others in different conferences and seminars. Now I welcome Professor Anjan Kumar Chakraborty to deliver his lecture. Thank you. Sir, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Pritam. And first of all,
Welcome,
good afternoon. Let me begin by thanking the organizers of Sarojini Naidu College for Women for inviting me. One of the reasons I agreed, normally not always do I nowadays go, but I agreed is because there will be students' participation. That's what I came to understand, which is good. So the topic that I have, if I keep in mind the objective of the topic, then we need to do a little bit of background. And I think it has been touched upon earlier, but let me just ponder over it a little bit more. First of all, economics is one of the oldest disciplines in modern times. It has a kind of 17th century, can trace it back to the 17th century. William Petty and others, classical political economists, the rise of the classical political economists. The reason why I'm saying this is that it has a long tradition. Okay, one of the oldest of the modern disciplines. And therefore, the subject itself is rich, developed, and complex. And what you have in economics is that, and this is something I'd like to say very clearly, there is no one kind of approach insofar as economics is concerned. There are different kinds of theories which have been developed over a period of time. So economics is not a kind of a singular discipline. So one thing you learn as you go along with your understanding of economics, or what you should ideally get to understand, is to extract as much as possible when you are learning the subject, its richness and diversities. And that's, I think, very important to be a good economist. And so no matter what you do later on, what you specialize in so far as economics is concerned, so the same problem, say, when you're looking at price, for example, that could be looked at in different ways in terms of different theories. Or when you are looking at unemployment, that could be looked at in different ways by different theories, and they would have different kinds of policy prescriptions based on it. So it is very important to appreciate that training in economics and to be a good economist is to be open-minded and to absorb and know. Knowing part is very important, as much as of the various kinds of approaches, arguments, insights that you are getting. Now here, while you are doing it in general, and I'm using a very broad brush here, economics have normally, it's not bifurcated, it's not compartmentalized in that way, but there are at least 4 elements, I think, that you should, or 3 elements more precisely, that you should have. One is a theoretical understanding, another is an empirical understanding, another which many of the students actually tend to ignore, but that's very important, especially in later career opportunity, is the historical understanding. And the important thing is, economics gives, the discipline of economics gives you as a rich legacy in all of the 3. And a good economist, to be a good economist, is to have this blending of the 3 in, or to be at least, even if you are very good at one compared to the other, to be at least aware of the other elements and be sensitive to it. So the reason I'm saying this is, insofar as career opportunities is concerned, you don't win the 100 meters race by crossing the 100 meters. You have to treat that 100 meters, right? And that itself is a kind of work to do. And that is knowing the subject. How good your career will be. One is what are the options available. I will also say a little bit on that, but that's actually the easier part, that as you go along, you learn about it. The more difficult part is to be self-aware of this aspect, that you have to work in the sense of knowing the subject for you to have a good career opportunity in whichever direction you are looking at. So don't rush. The first thing is, it's very important that when you enter into the field of economics, you always, and it's perfectly legitimate, I think. Why do you look? That you look for what are the options, that if you study economy, what are the opportunities available? That's fine. But the opportunities will not be delivered to you unless you make that effort. You have to, in short, know the subject, and to know the subject, you have to study. There is no shortcut in this. Nobody is going to do it for you. Your teachers will be there to help you. They are the most important elements actually in this progress that you are going to make. And so because this subject is exciting, because there are various elements, it's richly developed, there are various elements to it, there's much to learn about it, and because of all that, there is also much opportunities that are available. It's very important especially in the undergraduate level, that you have to develop a passion and interest in the subject. That's an absolutely preliminary thing. Whatever career you later on go on to, and that is something you have to know, you have to work upon. So nothing comes easy in that regard. So that is certainly important to have a good career opportunity is to, and in fact a better career opportunity is to be a good economist, and you have to develop as a good economist. That's the number one criteria which I wanted to observe for you. Number two suggestion is that when you study economics, very broadly again, given the time that I have, that there are, as I was telling you, few components you have to keep in mind. One is, and I think this have been told by your teachers as well, this was mentioned here as well, but you have to know a little bit of, I am reiterating, a little bit of mathematics, a little bit of statistics, and a little bit of history, sense of history at least, because whatever you work upon, you will work in certain context, and if you don't understand the context, you will be you will be short in your analysis. There will be deficit in your analysis. There is another requirement which you may not get at the college level or not available at the college level, but as you move to higher studies, or you may decide for professional courses, it's certainly helpful to have certain in today's context, I'm saying, training in computer, at least some software, especially those which are going to use economics package. So that is also perhaps some additional ammunition that you might want to gather in your training. But the most important one, and these are just the means I was talking about, it makes you a good economist. But the most important one is to develop the analytical reasoning. What are the economic questions? What are the economic ways of reasoning? These are not, you cannot get to this through common sense understanding. This and economics way of reasoning, the mode of explanation, the questions it is asking, cannot be replicated by any other discipline. It is special to what comes from economics itself. And in that context, it is not easy actually to kind of inculcate or learn about this way of asking economic questions and analyzing things in an economic mode, through economic mode of analysis, and they often will get results which are counterintuitive, which are against the common sense. That's what makes economics interesting and also is cutting edge actually, because it provides you with surprising result which may be counterintuitive, and that's why it has a lot of takers insofar as policy making or other kinds of decision making process in institutions are concerned. But for that you have to be a good economist. So the reasoning, analytical reasoning, as in thinking through the problem. Now it's very important when you are thinking of career opportunities also to understand this, to separate yourself as an economist who has these additional tools of little bit of mathematics, statistical knowledge, sense of history, and if preferable, preferable, then computer techniques. You need to be an economist. I mean, that's the central thing. People often forget about this, actually. They get so much immersed in mathematics or statistical problems that often you forget that you are doing actually, you are raising an economic question and trying to produce an economic analysis in the domain of economics. Those are tools, those are ways in which you may use to answer those questions, but they cannot be what the economist does. Now you have big artificial intelligence and other modes, etc., big data and through. So there are ways to deal with data as such. Economy, you are not going to get a job or opportunity in that sense by being that, doing that. You will be hired for being, bringing some element of economic knowledge into those whatever data or whatever descriptions or whatever is being asked of you. So that's one crucial thing you need to remember. Just to tell you a story about this so that you get this sharp right at the beginning. You may have heard of Niels Bohr and Robert Oppenheimer. Robert Oppenheimer was a student at Cambridge University at one time. He was the father of atom bomb considered, and Niels Bohr is considered one of the major scientists of quantum physics. So they came to Oppenheimer was doing his PhD in Cambridge or something like that, and he was miserable actually in Cambridge University. He was not able to get anything done. In student life, don't worry about these kinds of frustrations happen. So this is part of the process of knowing. So but Oppenheimer was known as brilliant in Cambridge, but not able to make a progress. He was also very alienated, and he was not well actually. So you may have heard of Ernest Rutherford, the father of nuclear physics. So Rutherford called Oppenheimer to his room, and Oppenheimer found a person who was sitting there. Actually, he didn't know. Actually, he was introduced as Niels Bohr, who was considered one of the major figure of quantum physics. And so Oppenheimer then asked, Niels Bohr asked Oppenheimer, how is it going? Because Rutherford must have told him that he's not doing well. So Oppenheimer said, I'm in difficulties. And then Niels Bohr said, are your difficulties mathematical or physical? I said, I don't know. Oppenheimer said, I don't know. Then Niels Bohr said, that's bad. The moral of the story is, of this is, the entire exercise for which Niels Bohr, Oppenheimer remembered this story, that he is a physicist, not a mathematician. So you can't make what is a physics problem into a mathematical problem. That's getting it wrong. It's the same story I wanted to tell you. You are an economist trying to do economics with economics reasoning, where you you are using, like physicists also, mathematics, statistics, all kinds of tools you have, which you are using. But don't forget who you are and what you are going to learn. So, and that is what will, how good you are at that will determine what your career, there are opportunities in economics, I'll talk about it a little bit now, but what you will do with those opportunities, whether you will be able to crack through, whether you will be able to succeed, and how good you will be in doing so will depend upon how well you develop as an economist. So with these clarifications, the first thing I would like to say insofar as opportunities are concerned, that I want you guys, I always tell my students to be ambitious in the sense that it's just not what is available in the business world as an employee, but it is also what is available to you to become an academician, like some of your teachers here are. Okay, and that is, economics is a discipline which will stay here and will be there in different kinds of colleges, universities, and so on and so forth. So, however, if you want to pursue, that's number one, a career in academics, then you have to understand that it's a long road. Okay, you have to do your undergraduate, BA, BSc, then your master's, and then your PhD. Now, if you decide to take up an opportunity in academics, and that opportunity is global in the sense that economics is taught almost everywhere in the world. Okay, so in that regard, when you are determined to pursue a career in economics, as in trying to get to become an academician, which means you have to get a PhD, then I will ask you to be ambitious in the sense that you try to move, if possible, to the best ones that you can possibly get to. You can get to any institutes in India. You can get to any institutes in the universities in the world. So try to make it ambitious. Whichever gives you think, a better option to pursue your objective and your passion. You may have a passion in a particular direction. You will always find universities and departments all over the world and all over India which are going to take you in that direction. But again, that is a long road, a tough road, but an important one which some of your teachers here have also taken. Okay, so that is the number one career options. For example, I teach in a department in University of Calcutta, where we have masters, PhD. Many of our master students also go to different universities in India as well as worldwide. Some of them became globally known. And always we have around, say, 15, 20, 20, 25 students who go on to pursue higher studies, sometimes more than that, actually. And the rest, of course, go for other kinds of career opportunities, some of which have been mentioned earlier. But let me just, and this is from experience, so we are having these placements and things like that, so I am a little bit aware of what's going on. I have my students also in different places. So it's now quite a big opportunity. And I would like you to be very confident, because as an economist, I'm telling you, you have, if you are good, if you become good, you have a great opportunity. in terms of getting a job other than the academy. I'm talking academy. I'm talking about, okay, because there are huge number of options which have now opened up, and these are, as previous speakers were saying, particularly in the banking sector, and this is not new. Even earlier also, banks always hired economists, and when you sat in those exams, competitive exams, and if you could crack those exams and get to the interview, then be absolutely sure that as an economist, you will be taken very seriously in your interview. Whether you will pass or not, that's a different thing, because there is certain leverage. And these banks now, in the present context, they are not just national banks like State Bank of India and other banks, and but there are also global banks like HSBC, HDFCs, which actually come to the campus and pick up students, and or otherwise also you can apply. So that's a very good opportunity, but that comes normally they would go for, I'm not sure whether they go for undergraduate students, but certainly they go for master students. A group goes for master students, as sometimes being employed, some of my students, as credit analyst, risk analyst, investment analyst, data analyst, all kinds of such kinds of positions are open, as well as many of our students, and across the board I'm seeing economics who are graduating in economics, they are moving to IT segments like Infosys, Cognizant, and so on and so forth. Students who have passed from, say, our university, or even from Calcutta University or Jadavpur University, they are, and other universities, from an economics background, you will find a lot of them in those places actually. Okay, so in all kinds of such kinds of financial enterprises, all kinds of different kinds of financial enterprises, because you need this. And what's the demand? That you need this analytical reasoning, coupled with a good skill set. But a good skill set is not enough. If they needed a good skill set, they will go to the statistics department. They will go to the mathematics department. Why come to the economics department? Because they are looking for a person with an economic reasoning, and who can deliver on that. So some of the interviews that we hold, some of the interviews I hear, you have first a written test, which is a kind of a reasoning test, actually, how good you are in economic reasoning, and then interviews and various rounds of interviews to get through to such kinds of institutions. And as well as, I'll tell you, there are different exams for the banks, State Bank and other things, and which is what I was telling you. So you have to prepare separately, but that's available. Economists, there's a bunch of economists who are, working there, and there is a reason why they are preferred. Economists have always been there in the field of journalism, whether it is newspaper or now social media, because you need economics, what is happening to growth, what is happening to unemployment, all those kinds of what is happening to the share market, the financial thing. All these are, you need specialists to deal with these kinds of news, to extract them with economic reasoning, to distill it out to the general public, to convey it to the general public. So there is a many of our students have also gone to become journalists, or economists, or social, and now to social media also, different fields. Another of the field which has opened up in recent times, and where many of the students go, actually, some of the students go, are NGOs, non-governmental organizations, the big ones, and I'm talking about like Pradhan, okay, They come to our department to hire it from the economics department. Now, the point is the NGOs are also another field. So the point I'm trying to make is if you are good at it, there are different kinds of opportunities in different sectors that you will find. Another of the certainly I will say important one is the government sector. And traditionally, actually, economists are there in Reserve Bank of India, in NABARD, in SEBI, in Indian Economic Service, in National Institute of Foreign Trade, in Indian Capital Markets, in SIDBI. You have all, and I can go on. Economists are hired. You have to give an exam and get through it. And these are exams which requires a fair bit of knowledge of economics. Otherwise, you cannot compete in that milieu. So you have to be a good economist to do it. But there are lots of, and it's just not as an economist, but also as in different other positions that you will find that both in the central government and state government, you'll find students from coming from economics do have an opening. There is another field which some of the students I've seen, they go at least initially, are the various chamber of commerce. FICCI, Bengal Chamber of Commerce, they hire young economists at times, not always, but at times, for whatever period. So you might use it as a break. Some of you may decide actually after the undergraduate that what about changing the stream? Suppose I want to move. I have gathered, I think bachelor's degree is enough for me so far as economics is concerned. Now I want a more professional degree. Now, so again, if you are coming from an economics background, you have, and believe me, because I have been visiting faculty in these places, and once I was employed in one of the management schools, so I am aware of it. So the management, various kinds of management schools where you can pursue MBA or you can pursue various kinds of other professional degrees, they like to have economists as people from the economics background as their students. So you will have an opportunity. The reason being simple that not only are you good at analytical reasoning, that's the supposition from where economics students have an advantage I have seen, but also that you are good at basic mathematics, basic statistics, and so on and so forth. So the kind of MBA business management course that one can pursue, economists also have a very good opportunity. You see, the sense I'm trying to give you is that if you are able to really work hard, develop your knowledge, and there is no shortcut to working hard. You'll have to read, do things, and your best guide in all of these are your teachers, actually. And you have to, so in close association with them, you develop yourself. It's a journey that you will have to take, ultimately. So I'm talking to the students now. So in that regard, it is very important that you develop an interest and passion for the subject. And once you do that, actually, you will be studying on your own. It will be like on an own path that you might take. So if, on the other hand, if you are not really, it may very well happen after the undergraduate, you don't feel that this is your, for example, your cup of tea. Then, even then, if you do undergraduate, if you're doing economics, you have a very good option of moving to other professional courses, actually. And you will have a good chance of cracking them, actually, coming from the basic training in economics. So, with these words, actually, what I wanted to say is, and I often hear about this, which is which kind of very surprises me is why students don't take economics, sometimes, or they are reluctant to take economics, because if you are thinking of jobs, and given that more of the job openings now are going to be in the private sector rather than in the government sector, and if you are looking at the private sector jobs that are available along with government sector jobs, then actually there is no reason. It should be the reverse way. People should be overtly interested in taking economics, because I believe, and this is not a competition, but I do believe that economics, or competition with other disciplines, but I do believe economics has lot of scope in taking the career prospect forward. And be very aware of the situation. You are living at a time when the times are not very easy. Okay, it is competitive. The world is, and so the only way you can do well in the world is, you can do well for yourself rather, is to train yourself in the best possible way for the best possible career option. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable as well as helpful presentation. Now it's time for some question answer session. Any question from someone?
Participants, do you have any questions? Either you can ask the speaker or you can write on the chat box. Okay, sir, I myself has a question that I want to ask you, that studying economics can have any kind of opportunities in the field of self-employment. So can you hear me, sir?
Is that okay now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, there is in India a wave of, companies being started by newcomers, which is called startups. So when you are talking about self-employed, you mean self-employed, Shweta?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
yes.
You are talking about graduate students, right?
Yes.
So they are pretty well educated, if they are educated in economics, I'll presume that. So it is not just any kind of employment we are going to talk about when or any kind of self-employment when when these students we are talking about. So they will look for a fruitful one, and that can actually be related in some way, or will be, where your economics training that you have given them, it will serve as a springboard. So in that respect, definitely, and they can think of starting, a lot of scope for startups I hear now. So one must be very careful about this, very careful. So it's better not always to romanticize what I believe self-employment, because in my position here as a speaker, I won't do it, because that may give the wrong signal, to the students, and but what I will say is, to your question, definitely there are opportunities if you can pick up properly and something that is suitable for your position. You're coming from your background, which is economics, being trained in economics as a student.
Yes, sir. Actually, all students are not of the same merit. So I think they can go for this self-employment.
Absolutely. There are, and I know this, there are a lot of now facilities, loan facilities, other facilities given by the government to begin such kinds of startups, small ones, So it may not be, very ambitious one, but small ones. So
there are such facilities which are given. But all I'm saying is, to the students, I will say, use your economic brain. You must not, when you are taking a loan and starting something, you must do the proper cost benefit, and you have studied about risks somewhat. So all of those must be taken into account. And being an economist who has been trained on this, you should be in a best position to do it. Definitely you can do it. And there is scope, I guess, I believe, I'm not sure of it, but I hear there are scope for that.
Sir, there is another question asked by Shumanto Ghosh. Is there any scope for an economist in International Monetary Fund?
Oh. No, good to be ambitious, but you see, you have to be either you have to do at least the masters, I guess, and you have to be either do another professional course with it, or perhaps perhaps proceed to do PhD or something like that. You have to be a very good economist actually to be in the IMF with a certain higher degree. I don't think they would hire an undergraduate as an economist in IMF. They would not, I am not sure, but I don't think so. So some of my students are there actually in World Bank, I know, and they are senior economists. Two of them are senior economists, I know, but they have done masters and then they went on to do MBA from a college, I think, an MBA institute in London or some other places. When you move on the higher track, actually, then you can crack and move to IMF, World Bank. You have all these kinds of prospects, career opportunities, and the financial world is huge. These international agencies, NGOs, these are big opportunities for economists as well. But as I'm trying to tell you, you have to develop yourself as a good economist and with a fair degree of skill to be there, go to that level.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions?
Any further question?
Okay, there is no question.
No question.
So
Okay,
thank you, sir, for your enriching session on opting economics as a career. Now, one announcement is there that in our chat box, one feedback form will be given, and participants, once filling up the feedback form, they will get the certificate within 7 days. Okay.
One thing, Shweta.
Yes, sir.
Since this question was asked, if you have any, to the one who asked about the IMF World Bank, I think you can, I think they have if you go to their website, you will find career opportunities and all those things in IMF, World Bank, and other kinds of institutes there. So there you can find what kind of positions these institutions are looking for.
Okay.
That's all.
Sumanta Ghosh. So you have got it, what sir said? Okay, thank you, sir, for your enriching session on opting economics as a career. Now we move on to our second speaker. So our second speaker will be introduced by our faculty, Sharup Roy.
Ma'am, I am audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome our today's speaker, Professor Jyotish Prakash Basu. He is a senior professor of economics at West Bengal State University, Barasat. Professor Basu is a former vice chancellor of West Bengal State University. His teaching and research experience is more than 30 years. He is a renowned researcher in the field of climate change adoption, climate change vulnerability, agricultural markets, forest governance, sustainable forest management. In capacity of the research, Professor Basu visited 25 countries: Australia, Finland, Switzerland, United Kingdom, Sweden, Denmark, etc. He has published 4 books, of which 2 books from Springer Nature, Switzerland, He has published a lot of articles and papers in a reputed international journals and national journals. In addition, Professor Basu has completed 6 research projects funded by Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, ICSSR, UG, and UGC. He was the member of different international professional societies like International Association of Agricultural Economists, International Union of Forest Research Organization, European Association of Environment and Resource Economists, Venice, Italy. Now I'd like to request you, sir, to share your ideas with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, all of you. I convey my sincere thanks to the college authority for inviting me as the speaker in the international webinar on economics as a career way forward, organized by the IQEC and the Department of Economics. Ladies and gentlemen, and my colleagues, principal of this college, I especially thank to the IQEC cell of this college and Department of Economics for choosing this topic, which is very relevant nowadays. Relevant in the sense that those who are interested in studying the course of economics, they want to know what are the prospects of this course and what are the job opportunities available relating to this course. Now, as per advice from the Department of Economics of this college, just I will talk about Professor Chakraborty has already pointed out some scopes for various scopes for the job opportunities of economics. But advice from the Department of Economics of this college, I will talk about the State University, West Bengal State University's syllabus of this undergraduate courses and how this syllabus is related to what are the opportunities taken from this syllabus. Now, as you know that economics is considered as evergreen subject due to its high utility and huge demand in the job markets. And career prospects of this for this economics graduates are many. Numerous fields are waiting for the economics graduates, both in public sector as well as the private sector. I'm not mentioning this, but few cases. Just I like to mention few cases. After the completion, meritorious students can get the excellent job opportunity after successfully completing their graduates and master degrees in economics. For example, I can say the Indian Economic Service, IES, Indian Civil Services, Reserve Bank of India, National Sample Survey, Ministry of Economic Affairs, National Council for Applied Economic Research, and National Institute of Public Finance and Policy. So there are various scopes in the public sector. And a good opportunity is also waiting for the economic students in higher education. One can pursue PhD in economics to enter into the field of teaching in the college and universities. So there are various areas I mentioned here. And I like to say something. You know that modern economics is being highly mathematical and computational. Using statistics and data analytics are here. And many advanced engineering departments, engineering mathematics and statistics and computer programming they are coming for the masters in economics in various universities. I mentioned some points here, some IITs. I know IIT from Kharagpur, IIT at Kanpur. I know the BTech and BTech students, they take admission for MSc in economics. And I also, you also aware that the Indian Statistical Institutes, Calcutta, Delhi, and Bangalore, here BTech students take admission for MSc in quantitative economics program. So various points, various areas are available for the economics students. Now, I like to share some information using my PPT schedule. Just 1 minute. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes. So, you know that the students starts career path from the 10th standard, beginning 10th standard. And the 12th standard also, they prefer economics as the subject. And then bachelor degree, yeah, economics honors or BA in economics honors or BSc in economics honors. And from BSc to one area goes to the those who are not interested in postgraduate degree, they go for the jobs. And another is the post-graduation degree, and then from post-graduation degree there are two scopes. One can go for PhD course and another go for the job market. And now we mentioned
Sir, sir, I'm interrupting you. Your PPT cannot be seen.
Okay. 1 minute.
Okay.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Now it is
Okay.
visible. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And you see, 1 minute. Yes. Now, various degree programs in economics are available. You see the Bachelor of Arts in Economics, Bachelor of Science in Economics, Bachelor of Arts in Business Economics, Bachelor of Arts in Applied Economics, Bachelor of Arts Honors in Economics, MSc Arts in Financial Economics, Master of Arts in Economics, Master of Arts in Econometrics, Master of Arts in Business Economics, Master of Arts in Applied Economics, Master of Science in Economics, MBA in Business Economics, Master of Philosophy in Economics, and PhD in Econometrics. So various degree programs are available within India or across the country. And core subjects within the field of economics, you know, the microeconomics, macroeconomics, mathematical economics, statistical economics, international economics, development economics, econometrics, public finance study, and studies about economic policy making. So these are the core subjects. There are so many core subjects that I am mentioning here few. And other related subjects are here: the finance, accounting, agricultural studies, rural and health, business development, industrial law, and human resources. Now, as I'm actually talking about the West Bengal State University's syllabus on honors of economics, undergraduate courses across the colleges under the West Bengal State University. And I am giving some information, the intake capacity for honors in economics in various undergraduate colleges under WebSU. And you see the name of the colleges: APC College, Barakpur Rashtraguru Sunnath College, Barasat Government College, Bhairav Ganguly College, Basirat College, Barasat College, and all those colleges, they have specific intake capacity for undergraduate courses, honors in economics. And you know the course curriculum in economics under West Bengal State University. We have 8 papers and 800 marks syllabus, you know. And paper 1 is the economic theory. It has 2 groups. One is microeconomics 1, group B macroeconomics 1. Paper 2, quantitative techniques for economics 1. It has 2 sections. One is group A, statistics 1, group B mathematical economics 1. Paper 3, economic theory 2. In group under this, group A microeconomics 2, group B macroeconomics 2. Paper 4, development economics and issues on economic development. It has 2 groups: group A development economics, group B issues on economic development. And paper 5, international economics and public finance. You see there's 2 groups: group A international economics and group B public finance. And paper 6, Indian economic problems and planning. Paper 7, quantitative techniques for economics 2. It has 2 groups also: group A statistics 2, group B mathematical economics 2. And paper 8, Indian economic history, computer application, project work. It has 2 groups: one group A Indian economic history and computer application, and group B the project work. So this is the core course curriculum for honors students in economics under this university. And you know that in microeconomics, what are the learning outcomes? How do you get from microeconomics 1? And you know that this is not the class of the economics, but this is the course outline. I am just here, and there is this setting of market clearing units, market demand, market supply analysis, and the economic agents, like who are the agents of economics, consumers, farms, and what are their behavior to rationally optimize their goals given the economic resources. All these, and under perfect competitive market, the short-run equilibrium, long-run equilibrium of the setup. So these are the very learning outcome from microeconomics 1. And second, macroeconomics 1, what we have to learn, we want to understand the nature and construction and measurement of key macroeconomic variables, and understand the measurement of different components of national income and its importance as the indicator of well-being. And from the macroeconomics, the students get an idea regarding the determination of income determination, short-run and as well as long-run, and impacts of fiscal policy, monetary policy under classical and neoclassical complete Keynesian setup. So these are the outcomes from the macroeconomics 1. And mathematical economics 1, students can understand the transmission of basic mathematics that enables the creation of economic theory in general. So mathematical knowledge is very vital, and how to apply the mathematical techniques to economic theory. That covers this curricular syllabus, and understand the process of optimization technique of economic theory in general. So these are actually I am emphasizing on the mathematical aspects, mathematical methods for economics, which is very vital, and our curriculum also ensures that. And the statistical methods for economics 1 also is there. The how to draw sample, what are the forms of sample and population, and the comparability of the concentration among the different sets of sample data, and to know the degree of bivariate association, bivariate relationship. And these are the basic ideas of statistical method for economics 1. And intermediate microeconomics, the model is there. There are different short-run and long-run behavior of the firms are here. This will be discussing here. And the optimal price, how to optimal price is determined under different factor markets, the role of their trade union in determining wage rates, etc. And the general equilibrium setup will be discussed, and as well as the partial equilibrium model will be there. And risk, students will know how to face the risk, and how to differ the risk from absence of risk, and how to measure the risk, and how to reduce the risk. So risk analysis, the part of the risk measurement, is also incorporated in our microeconomics too. Macroeconomics and intermediate macroeconomics also covers the various theories and outputs, employment determination in closed model, closed economy in the short run as well as in the long run, and microeconomic foundation of various aggregative concepts are discussed here, and different causes of types of inflation, unemployment. So all these real issues of the theoretical issues that has incorporated in our syllabus curriculum. And quantitative techniques for economics 2 also here. Just I will not go through detail, but students understand the application of mathematical techniques to microeconomic theory, macroeconomic theory, statistics, and econometric setup. Application oriented of different microeconomics and macroeconomics will be here, especially linear programming, nonlinear programming. Solution will be there. Game theory will be discussed here, and the different economic models, not specified, but different mathematical model, economic model, their characteristics, their specification, all will be discussed are in the model and quantitative techniques. And in addition to the oligopolistic, in the microeconomics to oligopolistic firms and their market failure, that would be this general equilibrium setup, welfare, imperfect competitions, all are here in our syllabus. And introductory econometrics is given in our syllabus. The introduction, what is the econometrics, how mathematics, statistics are used to economic theory, applied to economic theory, and what is the statistical concepts of their hypothesis testing, estimations, and also the multiple regression and simple regressions are also here. Very specific, very simple form in the undergraduate courses. And development economics are their various stages of growth. What are the various stages of growth and model strategy, and demographic factors, and their problems of what are the problems of the labor surplus economy like developing countries, and poverty, inequality, growth, inequality, all are in our syllabus in developing economics. And various problems, trade-related development, less developed countries, particular reference to balance of payment, economic dependency on less developed countries in terms of different theories, multinational corporations, and the different international institutions like the IMF, World Bank, WTO, and they're functioning with special reference to the less developed countries. So these are in our syllabus, development economics. And Indian economics, what is Indian economics? What are the problems of Indian economics? What are the basic characteristics of Indian economy? And they understand the key economic issues related to Indian economic: agriculture, industry, employment, poverty, and post-reform period and pre-reform period, their policy relevance, etc. All these points, last 5 years planning problems are there. So these are our Indian economy syllabus. There are various various issues are incorporated, but I am focusing on the few areas where how students will learn about this outcome of this syllabus. And international economics is there. Understand what are the trade, how trade takes place between the countries, and what is the free trade, what is the protected trade, what are the neoclassical, classical theories of trade, explaining comparative advantage theory and different trade policy measures, quota, tariff, etc., etc., and the international flow of foreign exchange services, foreign exchange rates, balance of payment, etc., etc. That all are incorporated in our curriculum. And as you know that the choice-based credit system, so our university has given some option, DSE course. The applied econometrics is there, and from the applied economics, students have want to experience their data collection, data entry, analysis of data in terms of chart, diagram, from the primary sources as well as secondary sources. Then statistical packages and softwares are taught in our curriculum, and students handle the project reporting and tools of computer, Excel, PowerPoint. So they use this. So this the DSE course. Environmental economics is there. Various problems of environments and economic principles. What are the about the economic principles are applied to environmental questions management and economic environmental damage. How to measure environmental damage. What are the tools for evaluation of the environmental projects, like cost-benefit analysis, environmental impact assessment. So all are in our environmental economics under the undergraduate. And financial economics is also there. And they understand the students understands the economics of finance. And they have some ideas, basic models used for the valuation of the assets and derivatives, and the option pricing models, and different which are very helpful to the corporate finance. So these are also available. These are also open to our syllabus. And project and dissertation is there. The students can prepare project on different contemporary issues, socio-economic issues, and they can apply their statistics, econometrics model. They can use their software. They can with computer and data collection, data presentation, analysis, and they can get actual economics. What is actual economics? So the project work, dissertation is also incorporated in our syllabus. And now I like to share the students, those who are completing their graduation in economics. They can, although the IES syllabus is only for after completion of master degree, but in our post undergraduate students, the syllabus are also covered. Suppose I just say Indian Economic Service syllabus, general economics, one, microeconomics, quantitative method in economics. These parts are in our undergraduate courses. General economics 2, macroeconomics, economic thought, development economics, international economics, global institutions like IMF, World Bank, and multinational corporations. So our students, those who are completed their graduation degree, honors graduation degree from our university, so they can easily get this opportunity. They can take this very effectively there will be no problem for them. And general economics 3. Here, public finance, environmental economics, state, market, and planning. So it is also in our syllabus for undergraduate students. So it is also possible for our students to track this result. And Indian economics also there. So I like to say that our syllabus is fit for IAS syllabus. And although the students before completing master degree, they cannot sit for the IAS exam, but they can if they complete our graduation from our state, not only West Bengal State University, our state, they can get the better result. And what just I am giving some information, career opportunities. Just if you go through the Economics email alert, you will get various opportunities are available, like fellowship, like postgraduate, like masters, like various jobs. You can, if you search this site, you can get easily the various opportunities are there, job opportunities. And Euraccess India, the European countries. What are the possibilities in European countries? You can get this from this site. Postdoc fellow and fellowship, etc. for the European countries. You can get, you can access. And Nakri.com, there is the it is well famous website, just which helps for the career opportunities. Just I'm giving some placement information. There are various companies are here in Kolkata. Deloitte, PwC, SDS, SDC, PwC India, and Excel Dynamics Private Limited. So, and Piperpedia Private Limited. So you know that these companies are easily available, and mainly I am giving the Piperpedia. It is the international based company and involved in academic research and educational consultant, and various senior research analysts they hire, junior research analyst, and academic writer and training. So these are the informations I'm sharing with you, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your informative session. I think you have given a very descriptive and a very elaborative description of the course outline of the syllabus of under our state university, West Bengal State University. I think the students will also be motivated to take economics as their subject under West Bengal State University. And any questions from the participant side? Participants, do you all have any questions? Okay, sir. I myself have a question. Is that these sectors, these private sectors, they come with a placement offer for the students at the master degree level or at the undergraduate level?
For junior research analyst, they offer the job for the undergraduate student, and for senior they offer for postgraduate students.
Okay.
But honors graduate students may apply, may take these opportunities, but depending on their salary position. Yeah.
Okay.
If they complete the master degree within the stipulated time period, they will get 4.5 lakh per annum. Yeah.
So what kind of jobs they offer?
Actually, they offer suppose I just got this information from the Amity University, and most of the students they employ at the these private companies. Just mention I'm mentioning this name, and they get basically the computer based, software based. If they know the stata, for example, so there is a possibility to get this, because analysis part, they are mainly emphasizing on the analysis part, because they take some work for international students. Clear?
Okay.
And
it's data analytics.
Yes.
Kind of jobs. Okay. I think there is one question.
Sir, I just like to ask you: does there any campusing take place for the master students in WebSU?
There is a continuing process, and there is a process. There is under process. Yes, but in our department, we are trying to invite the companies in our campus. But in other cases, the job companies are coming to
at least any training program.
Yes,
etc. Especially for economic students, it would be very helpful.
Yes, we are trying.
So in the near future, we think our students will get jobs through this placement cell.
Yes, we have placement cell, but placement cell actually is working now. But in our case of economics, we are trying. There is placement cell in our university, of course, and especially students from chemistry, students from electronics, students from physics, they have the chance to get these placements. But economics, we are trying to link up these placement cells very effectively.
Okay, now Sharup, you deal with the question answers. I think there is one question in the chat box.
Yeah, in the chat box there is one question.
Sharup?
Now I'm audible?
Yes.
Okay. Shumanto Ghosh is asking, if I am not that well in the field of maths, will there be any major issue while studying economics?
In our university, mathematics is compulsory, yes. But in other universities in West Bengal, I don't mention the names, there is no compulsory math or economics honors. But I advise economics is mathematical oriented today's economics. So without mathematics, it is very hard for the students.
It would be very difficult.
Yes, very difficult.
To cope up with economics without mathematics.
Without mathematics.
Yeah.
But there is no hard and fast rule that without mathematics you cannot take admission in economics. No hard and fast rule. But you will not complete your course. Other than West Bengal State University. There are some universities, mathematics is not the compulsory for taking admission into economics.
Now, we find that some students, they like to take economics, but since they are afraid to take maths, so they have to just cut out economics from taking honors.
Now, just I like to share with you that for the experience of the private university, there is a scope for teaching mathematics in the undergraduate classes. Suppose students in economics honors, mathematics teacher will take the classes mathematics for the economics students. Okay, but economics for the students in economics honors, the teachers will not take this class mathematics. Basic mathematics will be taught in the classes by the by the Department of Mathematics. Okay. But in our setup, it is not possible.
Okay, is there any questions from the participant side? Since our third speaker has not joined yet.
Yeah, one point I like to ask Siddha.
Yes.
How many students in taking economics honors in your college last 10 years?
It's a very bleak picture.
Disappointing.
Sir. Yeah, very disappointing for all of us. But hoping to take the maximum intake in the future days. Okay. It's below 10, what to say.
Yes.
So,
I found that from the university side, huge intake capacities are there in undergraduate college.
Yeah, we have.
Yes.
But students are very afraid of taking economics.
Yes. But many students go to the private university for undergraduate courses.
Yes, sir. Many students whom we have found that one of our students who used to study in our undergraduate course, she just left this course and she joined in a private university, Adamas, I think. Okay.
Yes.
So that I don't know why she left. Okay, but what are the opportunities of going to the private university? That also I don't know. But I think we have a vast resource base, and if we can utilize that, we can go further.
Yes. It may be the case of for COVID-19.
No, it's before COVID-19.
Oh, before COVID-19. Yes.
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 So since our third speaker has not joined, you can say further on this matter.
Okay, no problem. If any questions, I will be ready to give answer.
Our faculty is Asif, Saurav, you all have any question? Yes, I think Shonchita wants to ask you a question.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Sanjita.
Someone has raised her hand. Please.
Yeah, Shonchita Paul.
Please ask your question. So, sir, you can carry on this matter since he hasn't joined yet.
No, okay. Just one point, just I like to share with all of you. In your college, placement cell is there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And which department calls for this job opportunities?
No, it's a placement cell from the IQSC.
Oh,
Sir, there is a question in the chat box.
Sir, Akash Sharkar is asking, how does the specialization in econometrics help in the career progression?
yes, very good question. Econometrics is the composition of mathematics, statistics, and economic theory. So, if you have some idea, if you're strong in mathematics, you will be brilliant performance in econometrics. If you have brilliant, if you strong in statistics, you will have the brilliant for econometrics. So econometrics, you can have some economic theory, and you try to estimate the economic parameters by applying econometric tools, like by applying statistics and mathematics. Most of the private sectors, they hire the candidates who are very efficient in analyze the data and how to estimate the model. Suppose company want to forecast what will be the price of the Colgate for 2030. The Colgate company tries to estimate its demand for Colgate for 2030. So they employ the students from the econometrics, specialization in econometrics. They are very much efficient because in econometrics we teach the students the forecasting model, how to forecast, and what are the techniques, new techniques have been developed, and how to use the software to make the forecasting. So there are various scopes in econometrics specialization. New branch of econometrics like the time series econometrics, very stock market agencies, they employ the students from the econometrics background, because in the time series econometrics there are so many models have developed, and the students are very much accustomed to use this model, and various softwares they can use. So in that case, there's a brilliant prospect for the students who have specialization in econometrics. Another thing, this is the applied econometrics field there. In my beginning, I show in my slide that the applied econometrics, very important thing, and application-oriented econometric model. So in the socio-economic development, socio-economic assignment, in various public policies, the impact of various public policies. So for example, the government employs the non-government NGOs, employs the students from economics discipline. They your responsibility is to analyze the public policy impact. What are the impacts of the public policy? So here, economics students, those who have econometrics specialization, applied econometrics especially, they go to, they have knowledge for data collection, they have knowledge for data analysis, they have knowledge for prediction of this result. So various scopes on the applied econometrics. So you can get diploma courses on applied econometrics also. There is possibility. In some states, diploma in applied econometrics, diploma in only econometrics, diploma in business economics. Clear? So there are opportunities are there. So in that case, the students who are in the students in the econometric specializations, they have good chance.
Sir, I think there is another question in the chat box. Sharu?
Yes. Mr. Chakraborty is asking, how many options will I get if I do specialization in macroeconomics in PhD level?
Repeat again.
How many options will I get if I do specialization in macroeconomics in the PhD level?
So in the macro level, there is also opportunity. There are so many opportunities, like in the international trade, in the banking sector. So there are various scopes in the banking sector. Banking sector, private banks and public banks, they hire the students, especially banking oriented. The banking is the part of the macroeconomics. In macroeconomics, banking is there. So banking sector, and as well as the international economics like foreign exchange or international trade, there is scope.
Actually, she is asking about the options in the PhD level.
Now, PhD level, okay, you can get your title of PhD or topic of PhD in consultation with the supervisor. I am not contrary to this, but if you take the macroeconomics as the specialization, yeah, so there are possibilities in banking sector, in foreign exchange sector, in trade sector, etc. The special emphasis, if the PhDs, if he or she does in PhD in macroeconomics, so large opportunities will be there.
Okay. So any more questions? I think there is no question in the chat box. So thank you, sir, for such an informative session and for being with us. Okay. So many thanks. So now we are moving on to a third speaker. Our third speaker will be introduced by our faculty, Asif Akhtar.
Thank you, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Deepak Saraswat from US. He is an applied macroeconomics and completed PhD in economics from University of Connecticut, USA in May 2022. His research interests are in applied microeconomics, specifically in development, labor, urban, and behavioral economics. His ongoing work includes measuring the impact of gender composition of children and sanitation practices in India, the effect of goal setting on student performance in Tanzania, effect of criminally accused politicians on the composition of crime and economic outcomes in India, job loss, marital dissolution in US, and the labor market impact of affordable housing policies in US. Before joining University of Connecticut, Dr. Saraswat obtained MSc in economics from University of Essex, UK. and BA in Economics from University of Delhi, and worked for several years with the organization Abdul Latif Jameel Poverty Action Lab South Asia as a research manager. During his PhD, he also worked as a consultant for World Bank. He will be joining Meta, formerly known as a Facebook, in August 2022 as a research scientist in the demography and survey science team based in California. May I request Dr. Saraswat to kindly deliver his valuable speech on this topic? Please begin your speech.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. I'm really glad to be here, and I hope you all can hear my voice. Hope
Yes,
I'm
sir.
audible.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
I will just thank you. I'll start sharing my slides, and I hope this is visible to everyone. Can
Yes,
you all
sir. It's
see my
visible.
slides? Okay, great.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Visible.
Thank you. I'm open to any ways of answering questions. You can interrupt me during my presentation. That is totally fine. So please feel free to do that, or I can take questions at the end. It's totally up to the audience. So I'll start with my presentation. Thank you for introducing me already. I did prepare a slide of my own introduction, but I think that's not needed now. But just a quick introduction about me. I have recently completed a PhD in economics from the University of Connecticut, and I'll be joining Meta, or formerly known as Facebook, as a research scientist in their demography and survey science team. And by training and by my work, I'm an applied microeconomist, mainly specializing in labor economics and development economics. What I hope to talk today about, and this is based on my own experiences so far, or my own specializations, but I'll be very happy to answer any questions students might have on any other peripheral things. And towards the end of the talk, I will also share my email address, which we can circulate with the students, and they can always get back to me with detailed questions through an email, and I'll be very happy to get back to them specifically. Today, what I'm going to talk about is mainly around career options after an undergraduate degree in economics. And a couple of things which I'll touch upon is what do you do after an undergraduate in economics, based on my understanding of how it works around these days. I'll be talking about two major career options after an undergraduate. First is in the industry or the corporate sector, and second is, which is more of my specialization, is research or a PhD track in economics. And I'll be talking a bit more about that. And towards the end, I will touch upon what are the options after a PhD in economics, depending on whether you want to go into academia or whether you want to have a career in corporate. So after an undergraduate in economics, these days the post-graduation is the most common option, and rather than being an option, this is almost a requirement that you need to have some sort of a postgraduate before you can start establishing a career. And these options could be in form of a master's in economics, mainly MA or an MSc in economics, or you could also go for an MBA, which is another very common track students almost adopt from all the universities in India. Now, if you want to go for an MBA track, this is not my specialization, but based on my limited knowledge, there are top business schools in India like IIMs all across, spread across India, mainly Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, and there are a few I might be missing in my list, but they do offer really, really good MBA programs. They're equally harder to get in, but those are the options. Yes, please go ahead. There's a question. I saw a hand raised, or maybe it was by mistake. But yeah, please feel free to ask questions in the middle. There are other top-tier business schools as well, like Indian School of Business, NDI, which is in Delhi, XLRI, IMT, Faculty of Management Sciences at the University of Delhi, and so on. And then there are these other mid-tier schools spread all across India. So doing an MBA is very common, and there are multiple options across India which are available. And if you want to go for an economic specific track, getting more specialization in economics through an MA or MSc, again, there are multiple options where the couple of the most prevalent or the most coveted options are Indian Statistical Institute, based in Delhi and based in Kolkata, Delhi School of Economics, Calcutta University, West Bengal State University, Jadavpur University, Jawaharlal Nehru University or JNU in Delhi, IGIDR in Mumbai, Gokhale Institute of Economics and Politics, Madras School of Economics, Jamia Millia Islamia University in Delhi. So these are the most common options for getting an MA or an MSc in economics. So this is where you get a postdoctoral degree, a postgraduate degree, I'm sorry. And based on this, what kind of career options you could have. I've broadly classified them into three. They might be slightly more fitting into these buckets or different from those based on your own understanding. The first one is tracks which require a national eligibility test qualification, which you might be aware of. They are mainly used for lecturing and research positions in the universities in India. I'm not much aware about this, but I will talk about the two other major tracks, which is corporate or going for a research, going for a PhD degree, focusing on research in which there are non-NET requirements or there is a direct admission test or interviews. For a career in corporate, post an MBA, you could go into specific fields, and these could be finance, marketing, HR, and the jobs which you'll be doing or the firms which will be hiring you will be very similar to the fields that you are in. But after a postgraduate in economics, you are most likely to be hired as an economist or an analyst or what is called a consultant. These are various different names depending on what you end up doing. You could be hired by consultancy firms and accounting firms like Ernst & Young, KPMG, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Capgemini, just to name a few. There are many other such multinational firms based in India, those who hire economics postgraduates on a regular basis. Now, what do these people do in these firms? The main focus of hiring an economist or retaining an economist is around prediction and forecasting. That you'll be predicting the growth trends, you'll be predicting trends in the industry, or you'll be forecasting what is going to happen in next few months so that firms can make better decisions. That is what economists are traditionally good at, especially those who have learned macroeconomics or those who have learned statistical tools in like time series, for example. And you'll be using tools like statistics, econometrics, and so on, machine learning, which is a new upcoming thing. You might be analyzing large data sets to look at optimization problems, how to optimize a firm's processes, and so on. That is what we economists do all the time, taking less resources which we have available and trying to turn them into maximum possible benefit. You might be involved in estimating costs for different projects or different aspects of projects, or you might be involved in activities what we broadly classify as causal inference, where you want to look at the impact of a particular intervention on, let's say, the profit of a firm or other aspects of a firm, and you want to have this done without any bias. So we economists are trained to do that. So these are a couple of options which come up as options after in corporate after a postgraduate. The other specific option is the research track or the PhD track, where you will be doing original academic research in various areas of economics. This could be broadly classified into one umbrella called applied microeconomics, which I do, where you'll be doing specific research in labor economics, development economics, health, public economics, and so on. You could also be doing more traditional economic theory, where you write theoretical models in microeconomics and take interpretations out of those. You could be doing macroeconomics, international trade, industrial organization, or research in econometrics or statistics specific fields. There might be many more areas these days, but these are sort of like the broad areas in which you would want to specialize in if you want to do a PhD in economics. Now, where you can go for a PhD in economics, you could have options in Indian Statistical Institute or Delhi School of Economics, the most coveted options of all the available options. IIMs these days have very good PhD programs, including JNU, Calcutta University, Jadavpur University, and all the other names which I had before. So there are multiple. This is more of like an upcoming trend in the PhD, the things you should be aware of. First, I'm sure you're aware of this fact that it takes 5 to 6 years or even slightly more to complete a PhD right from your enrollment. So that is something you want to take into account. It's not a 1
Sir,
year
I'm
or a
interrupting
2 year
you.
program. Sure,
So,
please go ahead.
one point is screen can't be seen clearly. Can you please maximize it?
The screen, okay. Just a moment, I'll try.
It's not fully visible actually.
Okay. I'll try opening it again using a different format. Is this better?
Yes, it's coming. But the same thing.
How about now?
No, I think it is the problem from my side or not also.
I think this is the maximum it can be from my end.
Then I think it's a problem from my side also. Okay.
But is it too small?
No, it can be seen, but
Okay.
So actually, it is visible, but it is too small to see everything, right? So I
so
don't
same
know
problem with
if
Asif also, yeah.
if it will be possible to maximize the screen, then it will be much better actually.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah,
okay.
I'm looking at the maximized screen in my computer, but I'm not sure why is it not
Maybe it's a
showing
kind of
you the
technical
maximized
issue.
version. Yes,
Okay, sorry,
I'm
continue.
really sorry
It
about that.
doesn't.
So
Okay,
what I
continue.
can do is I can share my presentation with you later, and you can possibly circulate, and I will
Okay.
try to talk in more detail. So possibly, if you're not able to see the content on the screen, me talking might be slightly helpful.
Okay.
But please interrupt me if you find something which is not clear, something you cannot read. I'll be very happy to go over that. Yeah, I'm using a computer, so I'm not sure if that is possible here.
No, I hope means he or she is suggesting for the participants. Like if someone is using from mobile,
Oh,
then
okay.
yeah, then he and she can use.
I see. Yes. Thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead, but please ask me if anything is unclear, and I'm sorry again about this issue.
No, it's
So
all
as
right
I
to
was
continue. Yes.
okay, thank you. As I was saying that it takes 5 to 6 years, or even slightly more, depending on your areas of where you are exactly in your research. So time is one factor. But your success in a PhD program is also a lot dependent on whether you like doing research in the first place. And second, which seems to be a broader goal, but I will expand more on this later. It is very important that you have a temperament where you can explore problems with extreme levels of patience while suffering failures in your ideas. I will talk about this more, but this seems to be a thing which I have seen a lot in my own work, in my other cohort mates' work. So I believe this is something which is coming out to be very common these days. So having patience while going through your ideas, seeing failures on a regular basis, still trying to improve based on that is a requirement which I think is pretty indispensable. And lastly, there are some external factors like what kind of advisors have you chosen, who agreed to advise you versus who did not, and so on. So these are possibly out of your control, but these do impact your success rates or your chances of success in a PhD program. So with this in mind, and these are my personal recommendations for some of you who might be interested in a PhD program in economics, I would recommend you to be prepared to gain some research experience before you decide to enter a PhD program or before you decide to seriously think of applying to PhD programs. The goal is to be able to understand research and teaching at a higher academic level and to basically get an idea of what the research is like. So in your undergraduate programs or in your master's in economics programs, you will be taught a lot of theory, you will be taught a bit of applied research as well, but it is slightly different in a PhD program. When you're doing the actual research, it is slightly different from the theories and the models that you learn in your undergraduate and master's program. This is not to say that what you have learned is not useful. It is very useful, but what you do in research is slightly different from that. So it is always a good idea to get some work experience in research to try to see if you really like what you are doing. Okay. Now, where to get this research experience? It is always best to work with the economists or the professors in your areas of interest, those who are actually doing this research. That is the best way to get a glimpse of what economics research would look like in your area of interest. What it does is it helps you identify, did you enjoy the process of doing research like the way they were doing, because you'll be doing it if you go for a PhD program, and sort of like answering this broader question for you, that is that do you feel you'll be excited to do for almost rest of your life. Okay, so if you can answer those questions and if the answer comes out to be broadly a yes, then yeah, you are prepared to be successful in a PhD program, and you can totally go ahead with all your preparations to apply and get into a good program. Now, how or where you can gain experience before a PhD? You could work as research assistants or teaching assistants in many different organizations. I'll talk about a few. So, for example, JPAL, South Asia, where I worked for a few years before going for a PhD. It's Abdul Latif Jameel Poverty Action Lab. It's based in the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where their directors got a Nobel Prize a few years back for their Professor Abhijit Banerjee and Professor Esther Duflo, along with their colleague, Professor Michael Kremer. They got a Nobel Prize a few years back for their field work related to development economics and poverty elevation in India and many other countries. This is the organization which basically hosts their research. Another similar organization is Kriya University in Tamil Nadu as well. Both of these organizations hire a lot of research assistants to help the professors based in the US, in India, and many other countries run their experiments in the field, collect primary data, analyze primary data, and to write research papers. So this process requires a larger team, and you could be a part of those teams if you really think you would want to do applied micro research. So, for example, I was really interested in applied micro research, specifically in running field experiments or collecting primary data. So this experience at JPAL South Asia really helped me in my PhD program. So those are a couple of the options, and they hire many research assistants. Apart from that, specific schools like IIMs, where the professors are based, ISB, Indian School of Business, ISIs, CSSSC, RBI, Ashoka University. These are all the places where there is active research going on in the field of economics in India. And many professors, those who have funding to do research, they often have requirements for research assistants or RAs, and they go out with their job applications and people apply. You could definitely apply for these. So all of these options are there to give you that experience that I'm talking about before you can get into a PhD program on your own. Now, what do they do? The in-field research is mostly around collecting primary data, surveys, experiments, analyzing those data, and coming up with results so that your professors or the PIs can write papers. The other sort of research can also be using secondary data, like using census or DHS data in India and analyzing that and writing reports, or doing theoretical research if that is what you want to do, micro theory. And while doing all of these, you basically get an idea what these professors do day in and day out in their research. And that is what hopefully you will also be doing when you go for a PhD program. So that gives you an idea. What do teaching assistants do? This is a small fraction of hiring. This is a very upcoming thing. They mostly help these professors prepare the courses to be taught for PhD programs or for master's programs or for undergraduate programs in these schools. This is mostly an upcoming thing in the business schools like IIMs and ISPs. And apart from that, then you're involved in marking or invigilating exams and so on. So I think a combination of both of these, research assistant and teaching assistant, more emphasis on research assistant is absolutely helpful in getting you some experience about what academic research and teaching would be like before you start in PhD. And my recommendation is highly for getting a few years or some experience before you apply for a PhD program. Now, what is the structure of a general PhD program? Some of you might be aware of this, so I'll run through this quickly. But if you are not, then this is where you get this information from. This is similar for the places and universities both in India and outside India. There is often starting requirement of 1 or 2 years of coursework, usually more than 1 year, where in the first year you take training and courses in advanced economic theory, macroeconomics, and econometrics. It's often followed by you writing qualifying exams in these theory fields, which are pass or fail exams. These are often harder, but people do go through that. This is a requirement that you should be a master of economic theory before you can start doing research. That's the goal. And these exams do develop a lot of traits in you, which are required for a successful researcher. After passing those qualifying exams, then you start taking specialized courses. They could be in macroeconomics. If you are into economic theory research, you go that route. If you are into applied micro, you take courses like labor economics, development economics, where you're just not taught theories, but you're taught specific papers, or you are asked to come up with research proposals. And that is how you start building your research profile. After that, next 3 to 4 years, you spend doing your independent research or joint research with your advisors or your guides and your other colleagues. Often there is a requirement, it's a minimum requirement to compile a thesis or a dissertation is 3 large completed papers. But this is a theoretical minimum requirement, but to be successful or to get a decent job, you need many more papers than that. And these days it is almost a trend where you might also need a few publications. So constantly working for 3 to 4 years, not just looking at the minimum requirement, but trying to come up with more and more research ideas so you can turn in more and more of them into papers is what is required. Post PhDs, what options do you have? The most traditional option is the academic route, where you apply and you get hired as an assistant professor at a college or university, basically doing what you have been doing, research, doing a lot of independent research and teaching undergraduate and PhD students in universities in the US or other countries or even in India. And these days, this is also an upcoming trend where people are going for postdoctoral research before they can apply for assistant professorship. Basically, they want to expand their research a bit more before they can be more competitive for an assistant professor opening. So this is the academic route. Non-academic research can also lead you to think tanks and policy research organizations, some of which you might have heard about, like the research done at the World Bank or the IMF, where they do exactly the same research you do in your PhD program or as a PhD student. But this is often coming with specific goals. This is slightly less independent research. Okay, but this is exactly the same as what you do in your PhD programs. And then there are options like corporate or private sector, which are also research based. You will be hired as research scientists, economists, or consultants, and there are many other names, where basically broadly what you are doing is you're solving industry problems using the research tools you have learned during a PhD. So, for example, when I start with Meta in August, I will be running field experiments the same way I've done in my PhD program to solve specific issues for the firm that I'm working for. And the companies that hire economists, they are broadly classified into two. This is more of a trend in the US, but this is very similar in India as well, where you have tech industries or technology industries like Meta, Amazon, Google, Uber, and Netflix. They constantly hire economists. And you could also do management consulting route like Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, Analysis Group, and several other large banks if you have done macroeconomics or finance concentrations in your PhD. With this, a slight bit of I would like to end with a bit more on the PhD journey, which is coming from my own recent experiences. And this is something which I'm not doing from my own side. This is what I have been told by my advisors and my guides. So I take it as something which is very serious that they are talking about, and this is probably very important. So being intelligent is necessary, but not a sufficient condition. And you can just imagine that if you have applied for a PhD program, you were accepted, now you're sitting in the first year with possibly 15 to 20 other first year students. All of you were intelligent at the same level. You all, on an average, are at the same level when it comes to solving models or when it comes to doing the required math to solve problems in economic theory. That is a necessary condition. You should be able to do that, but that is not sufficient in itself to guarantee success in a PhD program. What often goes beyond that is that you have to be someone who is always willing to do hard work and persevere. That is what makes the difference. Everybody is intelligent at the same level, but those who are those who show more perseverance or those who show more hard work on a day-to-day basis are possibly those who get slightly more success or those who are more successful. The thing is that failures are very common. Even if you are the most intelligent person in the class, you're really good at solving models. When you're doing your own research or when you are working on original research ideas, failures will definitely come. And this is something which I can totally tell you that this is an undisputed reality. They will definitely come. Knowing that they are definitely coming, what you could do is you could learn from those failures and improve your next steps immediately, rather than being sad about the failures that you have faced, and constantly working so that whatever failures you have in your luck, they come in early and you can get past them early and you can think more of like successful ideas. So that is really important. And the second part related to that is that PhD in economics is often very independent, which means that technically you do not have a boss. You have your advisors, you have your guide, but they are mainly in a position to put you in the right direction. They will not tell you what to do. They will not tell you what ideas you should be working on. Your ideas are yours to be found, but they'll be just helping you solve small problems here and there so that you can totally be on the right direction. But it is independently on you, on what ideas you come up with and how you pursue them. Now, if that is the case, often what happens is that people get complacent. They do not work on a regular basis, and that is where that is a big pitfall, that you do not want to be in that situation. It constantly requires self-motivation and self-discipline. And one simple way which which has helped me a lot, and a couple of my other friends, those who agree with me on these views, is that you could just not be in this situation by just trying to make small progress every day to contribute to your larger goal. So, for example, you have a research idea and the end goal is a finished research paper, which will be a part of your dissertation or which you will send it out for publication to a journal. Now, things cannot be done in a day. You cannot solve all the models and all the empirical analysis of the paper in day one. But that does not mean that you do not work on a daily basis. Every day, try to make small contributions to your larger goal. and that is what which will keep you from being complacent, which, as I recognize, is one of the biggest pitfalls. With that, I complete my presentation. Thank you very much for having me. Again, I'm sorry about the technical glitches. Probably you were not able to see the whole slide. I'll share these slides and we can take it from there. And apart from that, please feel free to reach out to me with questions on my email ID, which you can see right here. And I'm sure that will be shared with you later on as well. And I can take any questions now.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for such a valuable and informative speech. So now it's a question and answer session. All the participants of this webinar are requested to put forward their question in the chat box, or they may directly question by raising their hands to sir.
There is one question in the chat I see from
there is one question.
Chitama. What can be the better courses that we can opt for MBA? Can you expand a little bit on that?
What can be the better courses that we can opt for MBA? This is the
So
question.
you mean courses apart from MBA? Is that what you're talking about, or within MBA?
So it is asked by Sritoma Datta. So I would like to request Sritoma Datta to clarify its question, right? It is not clarified. Okay, so
Oh, so you mean within MBA? What are the better streams? Okay, I see. So that I would say again, it really depends on your interests. Like for example, they could be two ways, and I'm basing it because I have not done an MBA, but I have friends those who have MBAs, and I can tell you based on how they took their decisions. So if you are someone, for example, who really enjoys doing math, or who really enjoys solving complicated mathematical models, finance could be a good option for you because that requires a lot of technical rigor or a lot of technicalities in understanding things and solving things, forecasting market situations, optimizing investment portfolios for your investors, and so on. So that could be a good option for you. But if you think you are more of a good manager rather than a financial analyst, then other things like human resource management or HR or marketing, those could be better options for you. Specifically, if you are someone who you think you can work very well in a team, you are a team player, you want to come up with marketing strategies, and that excites you. That is where you go in terms of marketing. And then there are these other options like operations research and so on within MBA. So it entirely depends on what you are interested in. Same as my PhD related talk, that you should do something which you're interested in. And then there are these counseling before MBA, after you've done your CAT and other exams. There are these counselings which help you get directed into these areas that you're interested in. And yes, Swagata, I'll share the PPT with Professor Mondal, and she'll be able to share it with you.
Yes, I can share it there. Okay. So, any more questions from the participant side?
actually, I have a question, sir.
Yes, please.
First of all, let's say if someone want to pursue PhD from abroad, right? So budget is a big issue, you know.
Right.
So are there any kind of scholarship to reduce the total cost of PhD?
Okay, so yeah, so thank you for asking that question. That is a very important question, and I'm sorry I missed that part in my presentation. So the way it usually works is, or the way I would say that you should only be looking or applying to programs abroad which totally fund your PhD. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about the structure. So initial investment or initial cost, for example, applying to schools, on an average, it would take $70 to $80 or $100 per school for application. So people usually apply to 10 schools or 15 schools based on your budget, but that is a cost you will have to spend on your own. That is the application cost. You have to travel to the country where you'll be based. So those are the two factors I would say which would be borne by you. But from there on, the idea is that since you will be a PhD student, you often work as research assistants and teaching assistants for the faculty in the universities. And what that entails is that they do not ask you to pay a fees. So you do not pay a tuition fees, for example, in those schools for 5 years or 6 years or however long your PhD lasts. And then on top of that, you get a small stipend, which is not very large, but it is often enough for you to survive for 5 years. You can get a decent house to live in, and you can. It takes care of your major expenses. You're not able to save much out of it, but that is the ideal model. If, for example, a school is asking you, there are schools like which are very high ranked, and they would come back to you saying that okay, we really like your application, but we cannot fund you. That is where you need to decide whether you can afford the costs on your own. And most often, I think people go to lower ranked schools which are ready to fund them rather than going to a very high ranking school which is not providing any funding, because they can be very, very expensive. The idea is that if you're putting in 5 years and you'll be working as teaching assistants, you should not be asked to pay a fee, and you should get a little bit of stipend. That is how usually it works.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I got your answer.
Thank you.
Okay, so are there any questions?
Yes, there is
There's
question in
one
the chat
new question.
box. Yeah.
What are the better options if I'm not that good in math? Question. Okay, so yes, that is again a very, very good question. So a couple of options would be, so okay, so let me start with the basics. That you, if you think you are not very good at solving math, which I can personally tell you, I am someone who was not very good at solving math. You do need a basic minimum. Now, the question is whether you need that basic minimum coming into the PhD program, or you can learn while in the PhD program. And the answer is both are possible. You can come with some knowledge, and you have to then work really, really hard in your first year or your first year and a half of the PhD program to learn the math which is required. That is very, very possible. That is not impossible at all. You can just learn the amount that you need to pass the qualifying exams. Okay? But the question from there on is, if you were not really good at, if you were not like the best math solver or best model solver in your group, then the natural options for you is to not go for micro theory as your specialization, for example, or macro theory, for example, as your specialization. These should not be the streams that you should choose. You're probably better fit for an applied microfield if that is what excites you, like applied research using data, which doesn't require a lot of math or model solving. These are the things which you will get to know once you, again, going back to my presentation, that you should work for some time before deciding to apply for a PhD program and choose a stream which you're interested in. I think this work experience will guide you into what fields you're interested in and what fields you will be able to do better. But some basic level of math is always required. You will be taught a lot of math when you go into the first year of a PhD program. It will be harder for you, but it is not impossible. Okay, so there is always this balance. The second option I would tell you, which you will have to explore a bit, and I can talk to you over the email as well, is to go for a PhD in public policy, which is a very close field to economics, but that is not as math heavy. And again, public policy research is mainly around applied micro issues like labor, development, and very similar things. So if that is what you are interested in, and you want to avoid a bit of mathematical rigor, those are the options. Those are the programs you should be looking for. And then there are many programs, many public policy PhDs in the US.
Okay, so thank you. There is another question which
Right.
is asked by Vinay Shankar. Sir, I will request you to highlight on IPM, that is
Right.
BBA plus MBA. Now offered by IM. Okay, it's okay. Now integrated PhD. So it's a kind of comparison between BBA, MBA, and the regular courses, degree courses like
Right. Right.
MSc or PhD.
Right. So again, so I'm sure you know this better. If the IM is offering this course like BA plus MBA. If it's an IM, then obviously the trust is there that they will be giving you the best education and the best placement going forward. So I would not hesitate to do an integrated program at an IM or even at some other good business school like IMT or MDI. I'm not aware which of them offers IPM, but that you can find out. So that seems to me a very good option. In terms of integrated PhD, this is something which I'm not very familiar with. There might be certain schools, those who are doing this, where you start with your BA, MA, and then it goes on from to a PhD. Now, what I will tell you is that a PhD program in itself, like even in the US, in a way, it is an integrated program. So, for example, you can choose to leave a PhD program after the first 2 years. That means you have passed your qualifying exam, you have passed your field exams, and they will give you an MA degree or an MSc degree, but not a PhD degree. So, in a way, a PhD program in the US is also integrated, where you get an MA degree after the first 2 years, and then you work for another 3 to 4 years to get to convert that into a PhD. So that is very similar in I think in India and the US as well, that you get an MA en route to the PhD. So that's not very different from that. So you can, if you want to do a PhD, yes, integrated PhD is a good option. I'm sure you can also take a little bit of break after your MA to get some work experience and get back into PhD if that is what you're really interested in. Does that help, Vinay?
Okay, sir. Thank you for addressing all these questions. Are there any questions? That don't have any questions, I guess.
So thank you, sir,
Sounds good.
for your delightful speech. Is there any question? Okay. For a wonderful
I'll be happy to take more questions. I'll share my email. You have my email address, so you can circulate it with the students, and they can always write to me with more questions. I'll be happy to help. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a delight to be here.
It was a wonderful speech, and you have thrown light on the future educational opportunities for opting economics as a specialization subject. So many thanks to you for joining with us. So
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Bye.
Good evening. Bye. So now we are at the concluding part of our webinar, and one announcement has to be done. And the feedback link is being given in the chat box. Only after filling up the feedback link, participants will get the certificates within 7 days. Okay, so now we move on to the vote of thanks session. The vote of thanks will be delivered by our faculty, Asif. Okay, Asif.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, first of all. So actually, I believe today's webinar was really very helpful to all the participants and especially to all the students to understand about the career opportunities, available career opportunities in the field of economics. And on behalf of our college, Sarojini Naidu College for Women, I would like to express my sincere gratitude towards all the distinguished speakers who have enriched to us on this topic, which is the most needed of this time. I'm also thankful to our principal madam, president sir, and the IQSC coordinator. Also express my thanks to all our faculty members who took the initiative to organize and carry forward this webinar. I'm also thankful to Professor Ajijul Biswas sir, Department of Economics, Mr. Tamogno Roy, Computer Science Department, for all this technical support, Mr. Ananda Mishra, Mr. Sushantu Mondol, Mrs. Paramita Dasgupta, and all the non-teaching staff who helped us directly and indirectly to make this webinar successful. Lastly, I am also grateful to all those who joined this webinar, the students who devoted their attention and the valuable time to put to being a part of this webinar. Once again, I would like to thank you everyone, and I'm just ending my speech of vote of thanks. Thank you all.
Thank you, Asif, from our side also. Okay, and thank you to all of the participants.
We're just ending the webinar. Okay, thank you all.
Yeah, so we are leaving the webinar.